Hello, welcome to Making Photos. I'm Ian Butterfield. I want to tell you a little bit about my mentorship program. Sometimes we need help with our photography, and that help isn't necessarily something that you can get from YouTube or from reading books. Sometimes you just need somebody alongside you to help you find the solutions for yourself, and that's where my mentorship program comes in. Not only does it help you to find those solutions, guide you along the way, it provides that all-important accountability to make sure where a goal has been set that you keep to it and that you actually carry on through and you do take that photography up to the next level. With the mentorship program, we'll work together to identify the training needs, some of which I'll be able to train you myself. Some you may choose to do the research and learn the topics yourself, or you may choose to use another trainer. It doesn't matter. The mentorship program isn't about selling my services. It's about me helping you find the solutions that are right for you so that you can take your photography to the next level. So here's how it works. With mentorship, there is no one size fits all. It has to be tailored to your needs and your objectives. What do you want to be able to achieve? How do you see your photography in a year's time? What steps do we need to take to get you to that position? For some of you, it might be you're thinking of going pro with your photography and you will need to learn quickly. For others, you just want to improve at your hobby. Both extremes are absolutely fine. The timescales will be set to suit you. At the very heart of the mentorship program is what I call my objectives and review meeting. These are where we meet on a regular basis to work out exactly what you need and to document it. How often is regular? Well, that's entirely down to you. The frequency will depend on what you want to achieve and how fast you want to achieve it. For some, it may be once every couple of weeks. For others, 4 times a year or twice a year. The choice is yours. I'm not going to impose that on you. I will guide you and suggest what might be appropriate for the objectives that you have set yourself. At the meetings, we will identify your goals, your objectives, and particular tasks to help you achieve those. And every session, we will review where we're at. Are the goals still current? Have you met the tasks? Have you completed the tasks that we talked about last time? Are you moving forward with your photography? Now, these sessions can be face-to-face. Typically here in the studio if you're local to me, but I'm aware that not everyone is going to be local to Stockport, so I offer the sessions via Zoom as well, so that even if you're on the other side of the world, I can still help you take your photography on to the level that you need it to be. These sessions could include image feedback. However, that's not the primary focus of these sessions. And where we do include feedback, it's usually because it's part of a task that you've been trying to do between the review sessions. And it's important to make sure you've completed the tasks properly and we can look at those images. But that's not the primary focus of these sessions. At the end of each session, I will have made notes. We've got a form that we work through, which looks at your objectives. And from those discussions, we record what you need to do before the next session, or over the next 3 months, or over the next 6 months or year. And I will type those up and pass those on to you so that you have got a record of your training, a record of your mentorship, so that you know exactly where you're going. And the first of these sessions is totally free, provided you sign up for the mentorship program. If you choose after the first session, you don't want to buy into the program, then you just pay for that session and that's the end of it all. By signing up or committing to the session, I mean buying my prepayment credits. Those credits will give you flexibility because you can use them not just for the objectives and review sessions, but for training and for lots of other things as well. But more importantly than that, the reason why I want to encourage you to prepay is because that then commits you to the mentorship program. Yes, you can do this on a pay-as-you-go basis, and I know for some people that's perhaps the most appropriate way, but the best value for money is certainly by prepaying, and you can save up to 30% by doing that. But more importantly, it means you're committed to the process of improving your photography. There are various elements to the mentorship program. We've already talked about the objective setting and review sessions. We've got mentored shoots and one-to-one training, which is basically where I get alongside you for a shoot. We've got Lightroom mentoring and troubleshooting, consultancy. We've got post-production, where I can help you with that stage of working through your images. I can provide bespoke training, and I offer portfolio or image review so that you get honest feedback on the images you've created. What works, what doesn't, what could you have done differently? So let's look at each of these topics in turn. First of all, mentored shoots and training. Unlike bespoke training, which I'll talk about later, these are much more informal training sessions. And it's basically me being alongside you at a shoot, during which time I'll answer all sorts of questions, any that you might have, show you how to do things along there. It might be a studio shoot. This is probably the most common ones that I offer, where it's effectively a mentored studio hire. You come here with your model, I sit in on that shoot, and I give you advice. However, it doesn't have to be a studio shoot or a model shoot. It could be a landscape shoot, and I could join you on a shoot out somewhere and advise you during that session. So it's down to what you need for the shoot. I'll help you with preparation if you need it, help you set the objectives, choosing the location if it's not here at the studio. If you need to build a team, I will advise, I'll be involved on that and make sure that everything goes as you need. I won't do the work for you, but I will help you to do the work yourself and advise you along the route that you need to go. I'll be your sounding board. And basically, I'll help you plan the setups that you're going to shoot, give you advice on that, and even help you plan lighting as well, give you advice on that. Some of it will be on the day, maybe a little bit in advance. So at the shoot itself, I'll advise with camera settings, make suggestions along the way for that, how you can use different settings on your camera if you're not that familiar with them. I can advise on shooting techniques, and it's plenty in the studio. I see people approaching shoots in the studio, and I can say, actually, did you know if you shoot it like this, you will get a better shot? That kind of input into your shoot. And of course, I'm your assistant to move the lights around, hold reflectors, whatever you need throughout that mentored shoot. If you're working with a subject or a model, I'll give you advice on posing. Quite often I find photographers who are a little bit uneasy with posing models and often leave the models just to get on with the poses rather than taking control. So I can work with you to try and improve how you can take control of the posing and how you can direct the subject or the model that you're working with. And I can provide additional ideas and setups, maybe tweaks to lighting as well that you may need. At the end of the shoot, providing there is time available, and this has to be budgeted in the time that we allow for the shoot, I'm happy to review the images with you and give you feedback as well. Mentored shoots and training, one-to-one training like this, comes with the use of the studio here. But what it doesn't include are model costs. It doesn't include the cost of any other venue. If you decide, actually, I want to shoot this at a different studio, you will have to pay those studio fees yourself. Or if you want to hire an Airbnb for a shoot, that's down to you. Also, it doesn't cover my travel. Obviously, if I'm here at the studio, that's irrelevant. But if you choose a venue that's over 10 miles away, then I reserve the right to charge some traveling time and fees as well. Lightroom training. Lightroom is the most commonly used tool for photographers for doing post-production work. I've been using it since the earliest betas, and I'm still a beta tester for Lightroom. I like to think I know my way around that product, probably more than most photographers I've come across, because I've been there before it was even released. I was using it. And I know the features that are coming that aren't public yet, so I can really help guide you through the use of Lightroom. I've come across the most common issues. The most common issues with people is really getting to grips with how it's set up, what workflow to use, where to store images, how to set up the database, how to organize images, how to name things. So I can provide consultancy on that, help you get there, get started, and have a really good, solid base for handling all your images within Lightroom. We can have the session either here at my studio if you have a laptop with Lightroom on. I can do it by remote access, or I can come to you, again subject to travel costs if you are outside the area. So consultancy sessions are charged by the hour, and a first session needs to be a minimum of 2 hours. The reason I say that is I need the time to really get to understand how you use Lightroom, what you've currently got set up. If you've got nothing set up, it's going to take 2 hours to really get you up and running and to get everything set up with a solid base and for you to have that real good understanding. I'm also able to provide remote troubleshooting. I mentioned we can do sessions remotely. I can also provide troubleshooting remotely, and I charge that by the 15 minutes basically. But I only make that available to people who've previously had a consultation with me, or that I've provided consultancy to, or people who have bought into the mentorship program by buying my prepayment credits. You can't get 15 minutes of my time on a pay-as-you-go if you've not had the consultancy. What about post-production? Well, we all know that post-production is an important step in dealing with your images. Making photos in the camera is only the start. I often tell the story that Ansel Adams famously spent more time in the dark room finessing his images than he did on location capturing them. And therefore, that post-production step has always been there. It's not new with digital photography. We just now have digital tools to do it. And I'm here to help you learn how to do that. And it's an essential skill to learn if you are going to become a really good photographer. I use Lightroom predominantly, but I'm also very familiar with Photoshop. I can teach Photoshop. I can teach aspects of Affinity Photo as well. And I use all three of those tools myself. So how does it work? Well, the mentoring for it can be a face-to-face session where you come here to the studio, we look at some of your images, and I can sit over your shoulder and get you to do the work, or I can show you how I would edit an image, and we can just talk through the best way to develop and to process particular images, to create effects and things like that with them. I can do it by screen sharing. If you're remote, we can still do that. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, as long as you've got an internet connection, I can still do that with you. There is a third option, and that's pre-recorded, where you send me your images, tell me a little bit about them, what you think you want to do with them. I will edit those and give a commentary on the techniques I'm using as I do it, and that I will record and then make that video available to you. And for some people that might be more useful, because you can then play back over and over to see the techniques. For some, face-to-face or online might be the most appropriate way. The one thing I would say about the pre-recorded ones, it's also an opportunity. Sometimes you might be able to get that at a much cheaper price, because if you're willing for me to include those edits on my YouTube channel as part of that program, then I might offer that at a reduced price. I don't guarantee for all images I will do that, for all sessions. It depends on a number of factors. Are the techniques going to be interesting to the YouTube audience? Are the images suitable for the YouTube audience? So bespoke training, what about that? Well, I have an extensive catalogue of training sessions, both classroom-based and practical sessions that I've run here in the studio. And those sessions I can make available to you as bespoke training, specifically for you, not as part of a general training program. And I can tailor them accordingly. But these are more formal training sessions, a bit different to the informal one-to-one training or mentored shoots that I offer. Look at it more as classroom-based training, even though it might be very practical, where we've booked a model, or you've booked a model, we've booked a model, and we're shooting a particular set of things. It might be along those lines, but we've got a curriculum to work through for that session. And these are typically longer sessions. I do offer 1 hour sessions, but they're priced, to be perfectly honest with you, quite high. They're designed, and these work better for longer 3-hour, 4-hour sessions. I can do them in person. If it's classroom based, I can also do it via Zoom. Obviously, if it's a model shoot, that's a bit harder to do via Zoom, but we can talk about that. And these invariably come with printed PDF notes, explaining all the techniques that we've worked through. I can tailor training to your needs. So you might be someone who wants to work with speed lights rather than studio lights, but you want to shoot film noir style images. I can tailor a session for you based on materials I already have on how to work with speed lights, ways of setting them up, how to meter them, and lighting setups which are specific for film noir. So I can tailor it that way. That's why it's bespoke. Bespoke training includes the use of the studio here. It can be attended by multiple people, down to you how many, and it's always in agreement with you. So if I've got 2 people who want to do it, we can work out a cost. But if you know somebody else who wants to join you for that session, then typically it's whatever the quoted price is plus 20% per extra person, because there's a little bit of extra work for me and I have to provide more materials. What the price does not include is if a model is involved. My prices don't include that. You are responsible for the model fees. And again, we talk about this when we're booking the session. if the training's not here at my studio, you're responsible for the cost, any costs involved in the venue. And if I have to travel, as I've mentioned before, then you're responsible for my travel costs. Finally, portfolio review. What do I mean by this? Well, this is all about image feedback, and it's absolutely essential if you're going to improve as a photographer that you get honest feedback about your images, the good and the bad. And this can be provided both in person. You might choose to do it here at the studio and we can work that out. I can do it via Zoom where we're talking over Zoom over the images. And again, like with the post-production stuff, I can do it pre-recorded. So you can provide me images. I can record a video for you with all the information, including edits as well, which often happens with my feedback. And I can send that off to you. So there's lots of different ways we can do that. And again, if for the pre-recorded stuff, if I think it's of value to my YouTube audience and you are happy with it, I can offer you a lower price for me making that feedback available to the YouTube audience. Again, we discuss all that beforehand, and it's once I've seen the images, I know whether that's something that might be appropriate and if the techniques we're talking about might be appropriate. It's not always, but for some people, that might be an appropriate way forward with it. So here's the big question. What does it all cost? Well, I'm not going to give you the price in this video. Quite simply, YouTube is something where videos I put up on YouTube are going to be here for years. So if I start quoting a price on here, in 18 months' time, a year's time, where I've had to put the price up because of rampant inflation, it's going to look very dated if I give you the price on here. Instead, there's a link. Have a look down below, follow the link to my website. You'll find the prices on there and how it all works. What I will say is there are significant savings to be had by buying into my prepayment credit system. You can save up to 30% by buying those credits. And it's not just for these mentoring sessions that you can use those credits. You can use them for studio hires if you're somebody who hires a studio. You can also use them for most of my studio events as well. You can spend them on those. So they're really worth looking into. And I'm going to do a separate video about those. When it's available, the link's somewhere up there for you to have a look at and down in the description as well. So that's it. That's the overview of my mentorship program. I hope you found it helpful. If you've got any questions, then please contact me. Email me at contactme@makingphotos.co.uk or post a comment down in the YouTube comments and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And I hope I'll see you on the mentorship program before too long. Now, if you want to know about other photography techniques which will help you, which are totally free, I've got lots of other videos online. There's a whole playlist there. And this one down here, that's the latest one. Go and have a look at that. See you next time and keep making great photos. Bye for now.